Yes, whether the PPT is visible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the basic objective of any firm is to produce the offerings, that is the product or the services, to satisfy the needs of the customers. Many a times, these needs are genuine ones, or they are created by the companies, the marketers, which satisfy, no doubt, a particular purpose, looking into the gap of the existing offerings. Okay, here the company undertakes the research and tries to observe the gap between what are the offerings available, and if there is a gap between what is expected or perceived by the customers, then they try to tap this gap and offer a new product into the market and launch the product. Now, here, when the company thinks of manufacturing or offering the product or services to the end customers, there are many factors which have to be taken into consideration as far as the marketing of those offerings is considered. Now, here we have seen that the marketing function is not just offering the product to the customers and satisfying the needs. It's much more than that. It involves the finance part, it involves the production part, it involves the HR department. Today, in this digital era, it involves the digitization part as far as the database management and promotion of the offering is considered. So we cannot say that marketing functions in isolation as with reference to other core functions. So this environment, okay, one thing is that the environment is restricted to marketing part, but marketing again is a subset of all this ecosystem, business ecosystem. So we cannot say that just marketing is left out. Now, if you see the figure here, okay, marketing environment, it comprises of the customers, the public, the competitors, the company, the suppliers, plus the demographic factors, economic factors, cultural factors, political and legal factors, technological factors, the natural environment. All of this together comprises the marketing environment. So any of these factor, okay, which goes out of control is a threat for the company, or the company has to look into this matter depending upon the gravity of the situation and the problems which could arise in marketing of the offerings. Now let's have a look one by one. So here, when we say it's a marketing environment, the offerings are basically for the customers. The company gets the finance from the shareholders or through the customers, because profits again is one of the important aspect or objective as far as the revenue generation is considered. Then the society, we have seen how marketing is related with the corporate social responsibility part, how the companies carry out the CSR part with reference to marketing. Similarly, there is government who controls the organization. So with reference to these companies, they have to adhere to the norms or policies as per the government guidelines. So here that is one of the very important factors. Then if there are any political situations which arise, which affect the marketing, then it has to be taken care of. Of course, when a new offering is there, the people should accept the offering. People should welcome the product or the services offered. That is very important. So if we see the nature of this marketing environment with all these attributes or factors, the marketing environment is dynamic in nature. It is not continuous. One cannot say that it is a mold type. It keeps on changing on a continuous basis because it is dependent on the other factors. Any of the factors which changes, according to that, the company has to change the policies, the strategies, and move ahead. That's why we say it's a dynamic in nature. It is with reference to that organization only. So here, with reference to that organization, that means it is relative to that organization. See, each and every organization has its own strengths and weaknesses. They have their own powers to penetrate into the market. They have their own strategies to enter into the market, to capture the markets. With their strengths or by tapping the opportunities, the company thinks of entering the market, penetrating into the market. Now it's up to the companies how they move ahead with their strategies. It is individual to that organization and not as a in totality. Yes, there are certain factors like government rules which are applicable to the total industry. But again, the reaction or the strategy is with reference to that particular organization, how they react or how they cope up with the situation, what decisions they make as far as the offering the goods or services to the customer is considered. Now, marketing environment is not predictable, unpredictable. Suddenly, maybe the government can change the rules, regulations. This affects the marketing environment. There may be natural calamities, which again affect the functioning of the marketing environment. So here marketing environment is not at all predictable. One cannot assume and move ahead. The managers have to be on toes. They may have their plans ready. They may have the execution plans also ready. But when it comes to action plan, there one can think of having many changes. And according to these changes, one has to again plan, implement, and move ahead. As marketing environment includes many of the factors, it's not a single factor. They are interdependent upon each other. So, since it's not a single criteria to be handled, there are many environmental factors. This marketing environment becomes much more complex. It becomes challenging for the managers to handle the environment due to intermingling of different factors or various factors. Now, coming to the next part, what all consists of this environment? This is an overview. Okay, this is with this figure is with reference to particularities involved, and this is exactly the broader picture. If you see this slide. Now here, marketing environment comprises of the internal environment, the micro environment, and the macro environment. As we move from the internal to the macro, the scope is much more broader, or you can say the control of the organization slowly and steadily goes out of control as we move from the internal to the macro environment. Now let's see about these factors one by one. Now here, if you take the first one, the internal environment. Now the name internal itself signifies that it is with reference to that particular organization or with reference to that particular firm. Here, no external factors are involved as such. So we say, but it does have impact. The external factors, if they change, it does have an impact on this internal environment. Though we say it is restricted, or the factors are controllable, that means the firm or the organization can manage these factors actually. The first and foremost is SWOT analysis. Any company, okay, should have their SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, when we take these strengths into consideration, here the companies have to think about the strategic deployment plans, one can say, or how they can think of being ahead in the market as compared to the competitors, how they channelize their strengths, what strategies they inculcate with reference to entering the market, penetrating the market, and acquiring the market share. Each and every company today struggles to gain the market share. The strengths, maybe they may have the best policies which attract the large pool of talented employees and retaining the employees. Offering, as far as the offering is considered, maybe they stress upon the quality goods which satisfy the customers. That may be the strength, which of course leads to the brand equity. Today, gaining the brand equity is one of the important challenging factors in this competitive world. The companies are striving hard to offer quality-based products and services to the customer, because gaining a customer is easy in today's era, but retaining a customer is much more challenging. And that's why we see that there is the customized approach through the means of ICT tools. Today we see that individually the customer is tapped on one-to-one basis. Each and every company has some or the other weakness which it tries to overcome. Maybe a company may be good as far as the quality-based products is considered, maybe as far as the constraints are considered about the companies, there may be the weaknesses. The quality products are offered, but the employees, they are not able to retain the employees in the organization. That is again a problem. The intermediaries is a problem. That is the retailers, the distributors, tapping them. So here, the weaknesses have to be focused and the companies try to overcome them. Next part is the opportunities. How the company taps the opportunities of entering into the business. Now here there are many examples as far as tapping the opportunities are considered. If you consider visualizing the gap and offering the product to the end customers, If you consider the FMCG category only, you will find that slowly and steadily the manufacturers lengthen the product line length. That is, they place much offerings, maybe with the different flavors, different packaging to attract the customers. Some differentiation is made. As far as the threats are considered, threats are with reference to external environment and the competitors basically. If the competitor comes up with the product which is offered to the customers at a bit lower price, then it's a threat for the companies. If the competitor comes with the market penetration strategy, then there is a problem. If there is aggressive selling by the competitors, then there is a problem. If they offer more margins to the intermediaries like retailers and dealers, then it is a problem. So these are the threats which the company has to analyze. If they come to know that the competitor is entering with a new technology driven product, it's a threat. Here, how the company moves ahead by having a know-how of the competitors is very important. Now here, if the company does not take the cognizance of these factors, then it will not survive in the market. Here we say, now just I gave you an example of competitors. You cannot control the competitors here. They have their own strategies. And each and everybody will struggle for the market share. But it's up to the company how it channelizes its own strategies to move ahead. And that's why we say it's a part of internal environment. Now, these factors with reference to SWOT are the controllable factors which are within the purview of the companies, which they can think of controlling. They can come up with the policies, they can come up with their own strategies. And that's why we say it's a controllable factor which is in the hands of the organization itself. Now, the controllable factors are like human resource. That is the people in the organization. Now, depending upon the demand in the market for the offering, the employees, they are recruited. Now here, it is the internal decision of the company or the organizations, how many people it has to recruit. What is the demand time frame? What is the gap between the order placed and the delivery of the goods? If the demand is more and the time frame is less, definitely the company will think of having more personals in the organization to cope up with the high demands and the supply. If you see during this COVID-19 pharmaceutical industry, some of the pharmaceutical industries where the demand for the medicines, it rose. So for the companies to set up additional layouts, additional plants became mandatory. They had to recruit more people. Similarly, if you take the hospitals where they required more staff to cater to the need, there were more patients, so more staff was recruited. So here, this external environment also influences the internal environment. The labor strikes, they are managed by the companies and nobody else. If you take a company like TVS Group, it has never faced a serious problem, labor problem. Now this group is a 100-year-old group with a unique achievement. It has never faced a serious labor problem. So here maintaining the harmony with employees became important. Their mantra was like treat employees like a family, put the employees' interests ahead of the companies. Always there was the assurance given to the employees they were taken care of, they were involved in the every decision making process. So how you handle the employees is up to the company, nobody else. And this affects the day-to-day routine. Now, in a company like Renault Nissan, the Chennai plant, the workers went on the strike. They are like due to lack of COVID safety measures in the company. And here the government had to intervene and take a decision that if the company takes cognizance of the COVID safety measures, then only the workers will come. So here it depends upon the company. That's why we say it's a part of internal environment. The next part is with reference to inventory, machines, and materials. So depending upon the demand, the inventory is stored. It's up to the company because again, storing a huge inventory will lock in the financial part. The finance would be there, though the companies get the credits, but still, if there is no demand from the market, unnecessarily storage of inventory will just lock your financial part, which has to be taken care of. So there should be a match between the demand, the manufacturing time frame, the supply, and the inventory. Similarly, the materials required and the machines. If suppose the product or the offering is seasonal, the manufacturer will not try to cater to the needs of the people during the off season. He will only procure the material during the seasonal part. There is no need for the manufacturer to invest unnecessarily here. So depending upon the demand from the market, the supply time frame, the company will think about the decisions as far as storing the inventory is considered, procuring the materials is considered, and the machines. Now, all this factor leads to very important thing, that is financial budget. How the company thinks of raising the capital, how it is going to allocate the budgets as far as different departments is considered. If you want to allocate more resources as far as the human resource is considered, you need to spend money. If you are going for promotional aspects, like if you want to go for media advertising, print advertising, budget is one of the important factor. Each and every department is responsible as far as the budgeting is considered. Now, in marketing, the promotional factor eats up more of the revenues, more of the finance. If you consider promoting through the intermediaries like retailers, dealers, they are to be given margins. Now, again, when the product is new in the market, when the people are not aware, then more stress is laid out on promotion. If the against this, if the offering is stabilized, that means if people know the brand or it has created a brand equity, and under the brand, same brand or the under the umbrella of the same brand, if the company is extending the offering, then penetration becomes much more easier. There is no need for the companies much to think about promotional aspect, because people already are aware about the brand. Only initially having promotions will serve the purpose. So it depends upon the company, whether it's a small company, whether it's on working on the national basis, or it is upon the global basis. So functioning of the company is with reference to this financial budget aspect here. Next is the policies, framing of policies of the organization. Now, what all comes into the policies? It reflects the vision and the mission statement of the organization. It is with reference to people, basically the functioning, overall functioning of the organization. So it is internal to that organization. Nobody else will define the policies for the organization except where it is mandatory by the government. Maybe you can say the HR rules or HR policies. Because the companies had to abide the laws and regulations of the government, they inculcate this or they frame the policies. So it's totally an internal factor of the organization. Similarly, control of the organization, how the organization thinks of controlling the aspects, whether it goes for decentralization, whether it goes for centralization, that is whether individual units are given the responsibilities to take the decisions on the behalf of the company, or whether only there is centralized aspect. For every decision, the manager has to take the approval from the center and move ahead. So all these things affect the functioning of the organization here. Now we move to the next part, that is micro environment. Now here, the first and foremost part is the customers or the consumers. The behavior of the customers is not at all predictable. Now, if you take an example of Tata Motors in 2008, they launched the Nano. What was the objective of introducing Nano? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Or what was the tagline when they introduced this? On what?
Objective was like they made the affordable car because the people with lower income group can also purchase the car.
Yeah. So here we say that it came with a tagline as far as the pricing is considered. The pricing was around 1 lakh, below 1 lakh, isn't it? Affordable, as you said, the word affordable. Okay, was it a problem? Now here the company, see from the company's perspective, they visualized a gap here. Okay, when they thought of introducing this offering, they visualized a gap that the cars are highly priced. Why not to offer a car which is affordable for the mid segment? Very true, isn't it? Was there any problem ahead with this? Now, this tagline became the boomerang for the company itself, the affordability. Now here, basically into which category this offering comes, this product comes, the car. It comes in the upper segment, higher segment, isn't it? People used to perceive the car owners as having the social status in the society. Now, when they place this car, okay, suppose if a person wants to purchase a car, basically, the customer would think about the higher segment. When the customer thinks of purchasing a car, okay, so if they went for the Nano brand, they had a fear that people might think about this tagline of affordability. Against this, even if you purchase a car worth 2.5 lakhs, 3 lakhs, okay, people don't bother about this tagline here. So this was itself a problem here. So in spite of uh, going for
Yeah.
the technology based product and making it more affordable from the companies. Now here the company thought that people will welcome it. People would be delighted to use this. But did it happen so in actuality? No. Initially it was, but slowly and steadily the people started realizing. Now here a person who comes into the segment of 3 to 5 lakhs, why he would go below that, even though this is affordable? Okay, why people will think of coming down? Because again there is a affordability tagline, and the people, those who wanted to purchase a car, they didn't wanted to come into this tagline of affordability.
Yes, ma'am. People think that they don't have money, that's why they are purchasing the Nano. This shows
Yeah, so this was the problem. So nobody can predict how a customer will behave in what scenario. From the company's point of view, company took a lot of effort. They came with a lot of R&D was done for this. They spent huge amount. Okay, but then the objective was very fine as far as the you can say the social objective was considered from the company's perspective. But the customers, the things are unpredictable. Whether they will welcome or not, whether they will like or not is a problem. So this was the problem with the Tata Nano. Here initially today, we see that on the basis of health, the offerings are introduced in the market, they are penetrating in the markets. There are many products or offerings which come into this category. Now customers have to be convinced in that way, then only the people will purchase the product. Otherwise, they will not purchase. You can take an example of Nestle, uh, or you can take an example of the product like the McDonald's, the Pizza Hut, those who initially came uh, in India, and they could not judge the customers, they could not judge the consumers. What are the expectations of the people? The initially these organizations faced a lot of problems in the Indian scenario on the backdrop of the Indian markets. The society or the people, they did not accept them. The companies had to again think of different strategies. They had to change the menu itself, the offering itself. Now if you take into consideration a product like cornflakes, they had to change the approach and not the product here. They changed the promotional approach of these offerings. So they entered more with the health benefits by convincing the customers about the health benefits, and then it became a success today. So how you approach or convince the customers, it depends upon the company. So I gave you both the examples, how it was a boomerang and how the companies remolded the strategies here. If you take into consideration society or general public, that is also important. Now, one of the element of the organizations is to serve the society by offering them the products which are reliable, which are quality based, which satisfy the need of the society in general. Now here we speak about the greener products. Okay, green marketing. Green marketing, here again the health benefit is stressed. Organic products, if you see today, there is a penetration of organic products. So the benefit well-being of the society is focused. If you take into consideration the environmental issues, the disposal of the offerings, again here it shows the social responsibility headed by these organizations or taken care by these organizations. The employees, when it comes into the internal environment as well as the micro environment, employees form a very important part of an organization. They are an asset for the organizations. Now, if you take today an example of the IT companies, you will find that the companies just toggle, the employees, toggle from one company to the other company. So it becomes challenging for these organizations to retain the employees at a particular level. So here the companies come up with the different policies. They give the benefits to the employees so that they can retain the employees. They are given many leverages and benefits also, so that the companies can retain the employees. If one employee at a managerial cadre leaves, he may also take the other four, five employees with him, the team leader specifically. So the companies understand the role of the employees in the organization. If the company fails to understand, then there is a problem. Many a times when you read the newspapers, you might have seen the headlines also that the CEO has joined this company, that company. Why that? In the newspaper, they highlight these things. You might, whether you have thought of it. Yes.
Ma'am, please repeat.
Whenever you read the newspapers, no, you will find that there is a news with reference to a person switching from one company to the other company, maybe at a higher post of CEO or CMO, to the other company. Whether you have come across such type of news?
Yeah, ma'am.
Why do you think it's a part of that news?
Ma'am, because like the person who was initially in some of the company, he might be known due to that company, and if he's switching to other company, then it may be because, oh, he's the person who was working in that company, he's that only the same person, like we recognize him with his brand name.
Yeah. So somehow that person, has contributed a lot with the previous employer, and switching of that person to other company means he has created that brand, or he is a person who has many capabilities. So when he switches to other company, he is carrying all that capabilities, and that's why he moves ahead into the other company. So that's why it is focused. So with the person switching, okay, that is also a problem, no, for the previous company from where the person is switching. Maybe there might be a problem. That's why the person is switching. That is the general perception of the public here. So employees also are very important part of the environment. Now coming to the next part is suppliers. The companies manufacturer the goods, they receive the uh, supplies from their suppliers. They may have one supplier or a number of suppliers. Maybe they are assembling. If you take an example of an automobile industry where you have many suppliers, then they get the goods from the suppliers and the things are assembled or manufactured in the company. Now imagine if there is any problem with reference to one supplier also. Maybe if the supplier himself is not ready to supply the goods due to one or the other reasons, relationship with the companies, or uh, there are certain, they did not get the material supplies, then there is a problem. Maybe if due to government rules and regulations, there is a problem that the suppliers are not able to send the supplies to the organization, then again it is a problem as far as the manufacturing part is considered. The demand is there in the market, people need the goods, there is a huge demand and potential for the offering, the orders are placed, and the company has no supplies in stock to manufacture the goods. Then whether it is possible to manufacture the goods? No, it's not possible. If tomorrow the suppliers go on the strike due to price issue, then there would be a huge gap in between this demand and supplies, and it becomes difficult for the organizations to handle the demand and supply part from the customers. So relying on just a single supplier is again a problem. So the company thinks of having more number of suppliers here. That is one thing. Second thing is they always see to it that manageable inventory is placed. So here the decision regarding the inventories also play a very vital or important role. Next is maintaining or managing the relationship with the suppliers. So that is again a problem here. Now the next part is intermediaries. The intermediaries are those which act in between the organization and the customers. Now here they involve the retailers, the dealers, or the agents, the commission agents. So any of these, if it is affected, the intermediary is affected, there is a problem. Now, the medical retailers, if they go on strike, if they keep their shops shut, then there is a problem. Today, maybe because of the digital mode of purchase, it is possible to cut or curb this. But even in India, even today also, most of them, they visit the retail shops, nearby grocery shop, nearby retail shop to purchase the goods. Though we say it's a digital mode, the penetration is limited still in India. So the role played by these intermediaries is much more important. Now here tomorrow, if the retailer does not influence the promotion of the offering, like when the customer comes, okay, the company has promoted through the media, but when the customer comes to the intermediary, retailer or a dealer, and if the dealer or retailer influences the competitor's product more, praises the competitor's product more, then there is a problem. So these intermediaries also play a very vital or important role. Now, when the offering is very new in the market, okay, nobody is ready to accept because there is no brand value. Here the company has to spend as far as the commissions or passing on the margins to the intermediaries is considered. So the company has to think about this push strategy in the market. Now coming to the next factor is the competitors. Now here, one does not have the control over the competitors. In a particular industry, how many competitors would be there? It's not in the hands of a company or the organization. The offerings or the strategies designed by the competitors, again, it's not in the hands of the company. Only the thing is mold the strategies according to the competitors. Change of mode of strategy is only the solution here. Now, here if you take an example of health drinks today, okay, we have many competitors here. If you take FMCG category, there are competitors in this category. Today, there are very few offerings are being left where highly we can say that there is no competition. Everywhere today there are the competitors. There is competition and everybody wants the market share. This competition gives rise to differentiation in the offerings. That is how better we are or how we are different from the competitors is focused or maybe through the offering it is offered to the end customers. Now here, if you take an example of a common good like a salt, we use salt on day-to-day basis, but still here also you will find the differentiation. They use different mantras or something different. Through the advertising also they try to focus uniqueness and genuineness of the offering. So how you think of proving yourself better in the market as compared to the competitors is reflected through the ads, so that the customer understands the difference between their brand and the competitor's brand. So just filling the gap and offering is not enough today. Even the customers have to be convinced about these offerings. Shareholders form a very important part. The company has its financial part, okay, raises the funds to the shareholders. Tomorrow, if the shareholders think of withdrawing the money, the finance from the company, then there is no option left out for the organizations. So the interest of the shareholders have to be protected, and hence the companies involve the shareholders in the decision-making process. More weightage the company gives today to the shareholders in the decision-making part by inculcating the participative management. If you see the annual general meetings are there, they send the letters to the shareholders. They try to include the shareholders in the decision making. The shareholders are also liable to get the amount of profits gained by the company. So the company has to share the revenues with the shareholder and inform the shareholders about this. Now coming to the government part, companies are liable to follow the rules and regulations set by the government. Nobody can think of crossing the rules and regulations. They are abided by the law. So here the companies have to take care. Now, be it protection of employees, be it with reference to packaging of goods, with reference to disposal of goods, any aspect, the companies has to think from this part. The government can intervene and influence the businesses. Now here a very good example of this government intervention is during the COVID-19 crisis. Whether the restaurants would be full-fledged, whether they would be allowed, or whether it will work on 50%, whether the public transport is allowed, whether the tours and travel operators are given the leverage, or whether there are constraints. So many of the businesses were affected during this COVID-19 based upon the government decision. So here, maybe in next session, we will see about the political scenario or the government is the core as far as such type of decisions are considered, and it has affected the business a lot because one cannot think of crossing these limits. The shop timings were fixed here. So the government also influences the marketing environment. Now this is about the micro environment part, wherein the company can think of having some control to some extent and molding. Now, if we consider the employees, yes, the company can think of the employees. The company can think of having the CSR policies as far as the societal benefit is considered or the offering is considered. How much commissions to be given to the intermediaries is up to the companies. To some extent, maintaining the relationship with the suppliers is up to the company. But if it is affected by external factor, then it goes out of control. Competitors, managing with the competitors is the purview of the company, but one has no control over how the companies, how the competitors will come up with the different strategies or the uniqueness in the offering. Shareholders, yes, they are insiders. I mean, the company has to take care of these shareholders. Government, here the business or the organization has to work or function according to government norms. Here the business or the organization has no say as far as the government rules or regulations are, it is considered. They have to restrict themselves here. Now, I gave you an example of a Tata Nano. Similarly, when these offerings, when the global companies, MNCs entered India, okay, there was more competition. The Indian companies started feeling the threat from these MNCs. Maybe you consider a product like a high-end product like manufacturing of cars, or say a single basic product like day-to-day goods which we use. In every category, there was competition. Now, what strategy or what mantra or the focus the companies use is up to them. Now, with the companies like PNG, HLL being penetrated for decades into the market, Indian company like Patanjali came up, and it gave a competition to these established corporate giants, and they started feeling the heat or threat from these Indian companies. If you see the Patanjali company, the focus is Indianization, make in India concept, and they started with by marketing based on this approach. So do you feel that entry of this Indian company affected the MNCs? Hello?
Yes.
Yes. So here it's about how you portray yourself and convince the customers. Now, just 1 minute is left. We will discuss the rest of the part in the next session. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll continue in the next session. Today at 11:30, you have a session by Dr. Shilpa Kulkarni, madam. I want all of you to attend the session. Okay, thank you.